Hello out there, YouTube. My name is Justice Feelgood Marshall, and we are about to get in action in consolation rounds at BESTERNS 2017 in Denver, Colorado. This game coming up is the number 3 seed of the tournament, 39 ranked in the world No Coast, up against the 8 seed of the tournament, the number 57 ranked in the world Boulder County. No Coast out of Lincoln, Nebraska, Boulder County out of Boulder, Colorado. Both of these teams won their previous games in the consolation bracket. Boulder County over Treasure Valley 182 to 174, and No Coast over Sacred City 228 to 187. We're in action right now with Feisty 1 for Boulder County up against Slam for No Coast. Slam having a very strong game earlier against Sacred City, but right now it's Feisty 1, the lead jammer for Boulder County in the white and yellow. And that's going to be a very quick 2-0 jam to start this game off. Boulder County taking the first lead. Because of the unique nature of this 11-team tournament, the loser here will actually be done for the weekend. They will finish 7th. The teams fighting for 8th through 11th will be playing tomorrow. The 7th place team, the only team that does not play on Sunday. The winner of this game will advance to the 5th place game on Sunday. Well, they'll play either Tucson or Wasatch. And another lead jammer for Boulder County. That's X-Ray Vixen, trying to add to this 2-point lead for Boulder County very early here. In the box right now for No Coast is Bully, as Frostbite for No Coast is trying to find her way around the front wall, escapes, got her way around a hat trick for Boulder County right there. Now Boulder County losing a pivot to the box. Pause of Fury. Sorry, a bit of confusion there. Number 333 is Hat Trick, but she's wearing a jersey that says Pause of Fury. That jam ends. It is 4-0 on the jam, 6-0 on the big board. Just about 2 minutes deep into this game. Once again, Boulder County is the underdog here. They came into the tournament as the 8th seed. On a surprising first day, we had 5 or 6 upsets out of 7 games. But today, the rankings have held so far. Boulder County trying to change that with a win over No Coast today. Jammers right now, Chewy for No Coast and Deputies for Boulder County. Here's Chewy getting the first lead jam of the game for No Coast. Boulder County currently in some penalty trouble with Die in a Fire and Hat Trick, both in the penalty box. So only 2 out there, and successful is Catastrophe on the short-handed defense right there. Catastrophe once again with the knockout on Chewy. She's being supported by Mussolini out there. Now Boulder County has retained their pivot from the penalty box as Hat Trick. And finally, No Coast forced to call it as Catastrophe was just absolutely on fire on defense in that one. Did get all 5, though, but could not take the lead over. We have a new score of 6-5 favoring Boulder County. Just 3 jams deep into this game. And we've got a very, very early timeout here by Boulder County. I think they may have been trying to figure out their blocking situation. So they end up calling their first timeout less than 4 minutes into the game.
Yeah, because you kind of stop short. Okay.
So in our advancement rounds coming up later today at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m., we got 2 Cinderella stories in our Final 4. The first being Sac City out of Sacramento, California. Managed to upset both KCRW, that's Kansas City, and one of the teams playing right now, No Coast. They came in as the lowest seed, 11 out of 11, knocked out number 6 and number 3, and they'll be facing number 2 Arizona at 6 p.m. with the winner going on to the championship game. On the other side of the Final 4, it's the host of BESTERNS, the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls, seeded number 5, up against the number 9 seed Jet City, who upset both number 8 seed Boulder in this game, and the top seed the entire tournament, Tucson, taking them out yesterday in yet another upset. So the final four, Rocky Jet City and Sac City, Arizona. Back in action here in Boulder County versus No Coast. Feisty one jamming for Boulder County, Slam for No Coast. Slam has a bit of an advantage if you can get past these last two blockers in the front. Meanwhile, Feisty one trapped between a real tight wall of 4 black in the back, and space works out in Slam's favor. She is now lead for No Coast and threatening to put No Coast in the lead for the first time in this game. Feisty one finds a hole in the inside line. Now Slam has plenty of time to try and get her full 4 here. Front of the pack being held down effectively by Basca Alracia. Slam ends up calling before getting all 4 points, but it is enough to put No Coast back in the lead. Excuse me, not back in the lead for the first time. With 3-0, that makes the new score 8-6. No Coast. Once again, No Coast from Lincoln, Nebraska, where there aren't any coasts. Up next for No Coast is Frostbite, number 48, up against X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County. Once again, No Coast takes the back. Now Ripa runs up to play some offense for Frostbite. Unable to quite spring her, but she does manage to push up that Boulder defense further and give Frostbite a fewer people to deal with. Unfortunately for her, she is knocked out of bounds by Glitterous and brought all the way to the rear. Penalty box is filling up here. 2 in the box for No Coast, 1 in the box for Boulder County. However, it is Frostbite getting out with lead. X-Ray Vixen a few strides behind. Now 1 more in the box for Boulder County. So very light pack here. Frostbite jumps the apex, calls it off, takes 4. Let's see if that call off was in time. It was not. Boulder County able to pick up 3 of their own, and that's a 12-9. It's just only one of those points actually on the track. The other 2 sitting in the penalty box right now. Now No Coast in serious trouble. 3 in the box for No Coast. That's going to leave Ripa as the sole blocker out there for No Coast. 2 out there for Boulder County, and this is a jammer's dream right now. Slam versus Speedlejuice for No Coast and Boulder County respectively. Speedlejuice gets the better of it. Lead jammer in about 3 seconds flat. Slam is out, but about a half track behind as the penalty boxes start to empty. Speedlejuice bangs her way right into Bubbles, takes her out, calls the jam, and takes 4 points for Boulder County, and that's another lead change. 13-12, Boulder County back in front. Now, looking only at the rankings, of course the rankings not very effective in holding on Friday, but looking only at the rankings, you would expect No Coast to do pretty well in this game. They're ranked 39 in the world, Boulder County at 57. No Coast had a pretty solid win over Sacred City earlier today, the number 8 seed, where Boulder County had a lot more trouble with the 10 seed Treasure Valley. However, so far in this game, Boulder County holding their own. Right now, the lead jammer is Babe for No Coast. Feisty one back on track for Boulder County. Babe threatening to lap Feisty one for a moment there, but Feisty one bangs her way out to safety. Now Babe is knocked into the infield by Glitterous, calls it off, and that's going to be yet another lead change. A 4-0 run for No Coast, and a new score of 16-13, favoring the team from Lincoln, Nebraska. So you got 3 lead changes in the game so far. One in the box for No Coast. I'm sorry, 1 in the box for each as we start here. So 3-3 packs. It's going to be Frostbite getting out on space as the pack became split there. Or became non-existent, if you want to be accurate about it. X-Ray Vixen trying to fight her way around the outside, runs into the back of Storm. Is finally out, but it's going to still be plenty of time here for Frostbite to finish off her in her first scoring pass here. Fights her way to the outside, gets all the hips, calls it off, and that indeed is 4 points for No Coast, bringing the new score 20 No Coast, 13 to Boulder County. We are about 9 minutes into this game. My name is Justice Feelgood Marshall. You're watching coverage of the 2017 BESTERNS from Denver, Colorado, hosted by the Rocky Mountain Roller Girls. Slam coming to the line for No Coast. She's been their scoring engine all weekend long, opposed by deputies for Boulder County in the white and gold. Lead jammer goes to Boulder County. Slam trying to find her way around Sauce. Boulder County does so. She's about a straight away behind right now. Boulder County has only a few seconds to try and get some points. Going to the inside and staying in bounds is deputies. And the referees conferring over how many deputies scored before the call-off there. She got 3. So that's going to move the score to 20-16, favoring No Coast. Penalty box is once again absolutely full here. Over full, I should say. 3 in the box for No Coast, 2 in the box for Boulder County. Once again, if you're a jammer, this is what you like to see. Only 3 blockers total out there to oppose you. You got Feisty One and Betty Rocker. Betty for No Coast. Feisty One for Boulder County. Feisty One is lead jammer. The penalty boxes begin to empty here. Feisty One is out, but it's only about 20 feet behind is Betty Rocker. It's going to be a bang-bang play here all way in the back. And Feisty One, something she was trying to call a little bit earlier. I don't know if she kind of called quickly as she would have liked. She's making a signal to the referee, which suggested that perhaps she's hoping the jam would be called earlier. As it was, it goes 3-3, and No Coast retains the lead 23-19. We are now 10 minutes into the game. This next jam will start with 19:41 showing on the first half period clock. And X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County up against Frostbite for No Coast. Lead jammer X-Ray Vixen threatening for the tie or the lead change here, as Boulder County is 4 points behind, and they've got about a half-track lead for their jammer here coming around for her first points. Goes up the middle of, inside of turn 2, and now it's going to have to call it. Don't know if that one was in time. Let's see. It was not in time to deny No Coast points. It ends up going 3-1, favoring Boulder County. But on the big board, it's 24-22. No Coast holding on to a shrinking lead right now. Just 2 points ahead of the underdog Boulder County. Once again, this game will be the last game of the weekend for one of these two teams. They will finish 7th. The winner goes on to battle for 5th place tomorrow. Slam Anderson for No Coast, and the Boulder County jammer going to the box on a track cut that was forced by Bully. That Speedlejuice is now in the box as Boulder County jammer. And Slam Anderson is going to take lead jammer on that one and get an opportunity to put No Coast further in the lead. Here comes Slam for her first scoring pass. Boulder County doing some pretty good job at playing defense at speed here with they had their tripods set up, moving backwards pretty effectively on a nice clip. And it does manage to keep Slam in long enough for Speedlejuice to exit during Slam's first scoring pass. Speedlejuice way behind the front of the action here. Slam action is through with 5 points right now. Now Slam threatening to lap Speedlejuice. Ends up hitting her on her way through. Speedlejuice looking to the referee, asking for a call. Is not going to get one. Both jammers in action here. Speedlejuice gets out of her initial pass, and now Slam trying to finish off her second scoring pass. She has 5 so far. Gets through the inside. That's going to be another 5 because she did get Speedlejuice during that second pass. 10-0 run for No Coast. New score 34 for No Coast, 22 for Boulder County. 17 minutes left to play in the first half when this next jam kicks off. No Coast has led since about the 21-minute mark. after 3 lead changes in the first 7 minutes. This time it's Shui for No Coast taking lead jammer status over Feisty One, who is out after a quick star stash. Now Shui able to go up an easy turn 1, but finds the rest of Boulder County waiting for her in the straightaway. Beaten 2, knocked down 1 more blocker on her way through. I think that was Dinah Fire that she took out on her way, and does successfully pick up 3 points on that one before calling it 37 No Coast, 22 Boulder County. 16 and change left to play here in the first half. Once again, if you are just tuning in and joining us, No Coast is in the black. Boulder County, the lower seed, is in the white. And now we've got a power start for X-Ray Vixen as Chewy ended that jam in the penalty box. So power jam Boulder County. X-Ray Vixen manages to spin around, stay in bounds after a hit from Storm, and takes lead jammer for Boulder County. We'll be looking to chew into this 15-point lead for No Coast right now. Chewy is standing in the penalty box, removing the star, holding it in her hand. Let's see if Boulder County picks up on her entry. They do. And that's going to send Chewy to the back, so her attempt at subterfuge unsuccessful. X-Ray Vixen is through with 5, now a 10-point game, trying to make it a little bit closer here. Chewy has passed the star successfully to her pivot. That's Bubbles now, pivot to turn to jammer, as X-Ray Vixen has a few more seconds to try and get some differential here. Calls it in time and does pick up 2 more points during that pass. That's 7-0 on the small board, 37-29 on the big board, favoring No Coast. Back to a single-digit lead for No Coast with just under 15 minutes left to play in this first half. No Coast is going to hand the star to Frostbite for this one. She will be opposed by Deputies for Boulder County Bombers. Deputies knocked out of bounds by Brook and Hearts. Meanwhile, Frostbite trying to deal with Catastrophe and lead jammer status in the hands of Deputies of Boulder County. She'll have about a half track with which to work here as Frostbite is out now. Deputies looking for some points here, gets knocked to the inside by Velvet Crush. Calls it off with 4. So Boulder County once again knocking on the door. A 1-pass game now, 37-33. Boulder County is celebrating a small rally here, and they're going to try and take the lead back on the reset. We have just under 13 minutes to play in the first half here. Star goes to Slam for No Coast and to Feisty One for Boulder County. Brassica Alracia part of the defense here on Slam at the front of the pack, but Slam finds her way through turn 1. Lead jammer, No Coast. Feisty One not too far behind, about 30 feet behind here. Slam's only going to have a few seconds here to try and score some points. Picks up 1 in the back, decides that's enough. Calls it, and yep, that's 1-0 for No Coast. Now 38-33. 13 or just under 13 left to play in the first half. There's one more game left on the consolation bracket today. That is the 4th seed Wasatch going up against the 1 seed Tucson. Both of those teams being upset on Friday to end up in the consolation bracket. That game's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Right now, back in our action between No Coast in the black and Boulder County in the white. We got Babe jamming for No Coast and X-Ray Vixen out there for Boulder County. X-Ray Vixen just got dumped and brought to the rear by No Coast Sly, the pivot. However, not too much space. And just as I say that, there's enough space for Babe to bust out with lead jammer for No Coast. The star is out for Boulder County. Meanwhile, Babe is taken to the ground by Glitterous and cuts the track, trying to get back in bounds. Power jam for Boulder County, and this could be key I believe Babe scored points before being sent to the box, but X-Ray Vixen does have a good shot here at putting Boulder County in the lead. She has picked up 4. Okay, there's the 5. She did get that point for the jammer going to the box, so that's a 5. And now the game is tied on the big board, although there are points that have not yet gone up for No Coast. And now Boulder County in lead for certain, as it's another 5 points for X-Ray Vixen. Now 43 showing on the big board for Boulder County, 38 for No Coast, as Babe is released from the box. About 40 seconds left in this jam. Big takeout hit by Anthrax. Looks like Anthrax may have gotten a little bit of leg in there. Is going to head off to the box, expressing her displeasure with that call. Now Babe is through. There's the rest of her points. She is showing 4 for Babe. Penalty box is filling up for No Coast. They have 2 in the box, Anthrax Annie and Brooke in Hearts. X-Ray Vixen has about 10 seconds here to try and get some more points here for Boulder County. Gets walloped by Velvet Crush right there. Looking to the referee for a call, doesn't get it. Another pass for Babe, and in a chaotic jam right there. We'll have to wait for a final update on the score. It looks like the total there was 19 for Boulder County, 8 for No Coast, and that is a lead change. Boulder County now up 52 to 46. We got a team timeout taken by No Coast. So that's 10:32 on a stopped clock here, as No Coast gonna take some time to talk about it. We were mentioning the other game in the other game remaining in the consolation bracket today. The number 1 seed Tucson ranked number 26 as of the end of May, and Wasatch coming into the weekend ranked 45. So once again, both of those teams upset on Friday. The Tucson won the big shocker, Jet City, stunning them in the quarterfinals there, after also getting a win over Boulder County, one of the 2 teams we're watching right now. Once again, the final games today, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. The number 2 seed, Arizona, looking strong, facing the 11th seed, the lowest seeded team in the tournament, has advanced all the way to the Final Four. That's Sac City from Sacramento. On the other side is number 5 seed Rocky Mountain, the hosts of the weekend, taking on another low seed that pushed further than expected, Jet City. They came in at number 9. So it looks like this team timeout has extended itself into an official timeout, and No Coast penalty box is hopping, for lack of a better word. 3 in the box for No Coast, 2 standing, that's Anthrax Annie and Brooke and Hearts, and 1 sitting, the pivot, who I believe is Sly. That leaves Ripa as the sole blocker once again for No Coast, standing out there looking somewhat displeased with the situation. Ripa, a longtime veteran of No Coast. There is no one in the penalty box for Boulder County, which means that Slam, another longtime No Coast veteran and their ace jammer so far this weekend, definitely got her work cut out for her against her opposing number, who appears to be Speedlejuice, as the referees take a little bit more time to figure out the complications resulting, I presume, from the penalty box, which, again, has been a very busy place for No Coast so far this game. I'll be sure to get you the penalty totals at halftime. I expect it will be higher than usual for this first half. Tomorrow's action, by the way, starts at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. We know 2 of the teams participating and where they will land. In the 9 a.m. game, Sacred City will be facing off against Kansas City for 10th or 11th place, so the loser of that game will end up in the cellar for this weekend. And the 8th versus 9th game Treasure Valley will... I probably spoke too soon because I don't have the information of who Treasure Valley will be facing. Either way, they will be in the 8th and 9th place game. The 7th place game will be non-existent because whoever loses this game will be in 7th place. For 5th place, it will be the winner of Tucson and Wasatch versus the winner of this game. For 3rd place, the loser of Rocky Jet City versus the loser of Sac City, Arizona. And of course, championship game, the winner of those previous matchups. Right now, we are in about a 4-minute timeout following a no-coast timeout, following a lead change in which Boulder County went up 52-46 after a 19-8 jam. If my math is correct, that is our 4th lead change of the game, although No Coast was holding the lead for the last 11 minutes of the game. Looks like the referees have completed their discussions on what was going on there. Got the signal to start the next jam. And still out there is Ripa, going to be the only help out there for Slam Anderson, as No Coast has 3 blockers in the box. And Slam does exactly what she was trying to do by knocking Speedlejuice out of bounds. Unfortunately, Slam went out with her and was unable to pull her back. However, Speedlejuice brought to the back. She will get lead, although she had to deal with 3 blockers instead of 1 to do so, as the No Coast penalty box emptied in time. Oh, and bad news for No Coast. Slam sent to the penalty box. Afraid I didn't see the call from jam referee Pika there on the other side of the track. Speedlejuice is through on her first scoring pass. That's a grand slam, and calls it maybe surprisingly early there. They will get a little bit more time in this power jam, but part of that will be lost getting lead jammer status back. Slam, I think, is going to have somewhere around 15 and 20 seconds remaining on that penalty. We now have a new score of 57-46 after that 5-0 run for Speedlejuice. We have 9.5 left in the first half here. Boulder County trying to build on a 11-point lead. Feisty one. Now with the star, gets lead jammer for Boulder County. She's on the wrong side of a 4-3 pack, as blocker for Boulder County, unprotected Lex, is in the penalty box. She is standing, as is jammer No Coast Slam. Feisty one trying to get through her first scoring pass. Here comes Slam out of the box. Manages to squeak her way past Catastrophe and is out of her initial pass. Feisty one, though, out, calls it long before Slam is in threatening position for points. Adds 5 total to Boulder County's score, and that's 62-46. Boulder County Bombers, the underdog in this game, winning right now 62-46 with about 8.5 left in the first half. My name is Justice Feelgood Marshall. You're watching coverage of the 2017 BESTERNS from Denver, Colorado. And as this next jam begins, we've got Frostbite for No Coast in the black against X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County in the white. X-Ray Vixen trying to push her way through a pretty tight No Coast wall here that's being anchored by No Coast pivot Lex. Meanwhile, it's Frostbite going around the outside of the straightaway and picking up lead jammer for No Coast. Little collision between jam referee Pika and X-Ray Vixen, who's jamming for Boulder County. And there's a track cut on No Coast. Power jam for Boulder County. So they'll get an opportunity here to extend that lead. I believe that we had Frostbite was scoring points before going to the box on that track cut, but no points showing on the small board yet for No Coast. Also in the box, blocker for No Coast, number 11, Velvet Crush, and now Boulder County blocker Hat Trick coming to the box as well. X-Ray Vixen has picked up 5, is coming around for her second scoring pass. The box, or out of the box I should say, comes Frostbite as No Coast jammer. X-Ray Vixen picks up another 5, 10 so far on the jam for Boulder County. We all are, of course, going the full 2 minutes on this one. Oh, and an apex jump from X-Ray Vixen makes it 14 so far for Boulder County. No Coast getting points. Now it's Sly as pivot. I think Boulder County's bench asking X-Ray Vixen to call it, but she cannot, as she is not lead jammer. 76 for Boulder County, 54 No Coast right now. We got 15 seconds remaining in the jam. X-Ray Vixen looking for more points. Gets pulled out of bounds by the jammer turned blocker, Frostbite. Time about to finish ticking off on this jam, and it's going to go Boulder County's way. Let's look for the final score of that jam. Another high-scoring, high-penalty jam. 18 for Boulder County, 7 for No Coast. New score, Boulder County 80, No Coast 53, the biggest lead of the game so far for Boulder County. No Coast is going to call their second timeout pretty early in the game. Well, pretty early in the game overall, I should say. They've used 2, and now with 6 minutes left in the half, No Coast has gone through 2 timeouts as they try and stop the momentum of Boulder County Bombers. Once again, my name is Justice Feelgood Marshall. You're watching 2017 Veterans coming out of the Foothills Fieldhouse in Denver, Colorado. Coming up later today at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, Tucson versus Wasatch. That's the number 26 in the world, Tucson, against 45 in the world, Wasatch. Following that, we have the first of our 2 advancement round games. Arizona, number 30 in the world, taking on Sac City, number 63 in the world. Sac City trying to keep a incredibly impressive weekend going. They came in as the lowest ranked team in the tournament, but have beaten 2 already. And in the final game of Saturday's action, it's the number 46 in the world, Rocky Mountain, against number 58, Jet City, the other Cinderella story of the weekend. Back in action here is Deputies for Boulder County and Slam for No Coast. Slam barely stays in bounds on the inside of turn 1, as looks like that was Diana Fire almost got out of bounds, but not quite. Here comes Slam around for first scoring pass. Gets through fairly easily for 5 as she successfully lapped Deputies on that. Now it's Boulder County facing a penalty backup here. Unprotected Lex out of the box, but still sitting in the box is Boulder County's pivot. Slam is through again successfully for 4, and that's a 9-0 jam for No Coast. So the timeout successful in getting No Coast scoring and running again. 80-62 right now. We'll have just under 5 minutes left in the first half when this next jam kicks off. Three-on-three packs right now. We've got Betty Rocker for No Coast up against Feisty One for Boulder County. Once again, No Coast in the black, Boulder County in the white and gold. Betty Rocker finds an inside line, gets lead jammer for No Coast. Betty Rocker's been used primarily as a relief jammer for No Coast so far this weekend. Getting the job done in this one. Feisty One is out. Betty Rocker has some time to work here, though. Boulder County trying to set up their defense at high speed here. Betty Rocker trying to call the jam. She can't do it because she's being sent to the box on a forearm. And that was an unfortunate turn of events for No Coast as they were all distracted thinking the jam was going to end. And they missed Feisty One's entry to the pack. However, Feisty One missed the track when she tried to jump the apex and had to start over. However, Feisty One now on power jam for Boulder County. About a minute left in the jam as she gets through her first scoring pass. That's 5. Betty Rocker has points, although they have not yet gone up on the small board because she went to the box before completing that pass. Feisty One coming around again on her second scoring pass, runs into Lex and Anthrax Annie. Now Betty Rocker out of the penalty box, meets the original Skankster with some help from Catastrophe Phoebe in the back of the pack. Through with looks like another 5 is Feisty One. We have 30 seconds left in this jam. And Betty Rocker is able to get her way around the remaining Boulder County defense. We got 20 seconds left in the jam. Feisty one knocked out of bounds. Looks like by Bully in her current scoring pass, which is her third. Right now, 10-4 on the small board as the last 5 seconds tick off of this jam. And that's it for this jam. It ends on time. Let's wait to see what our additional score is. Another full-length penalty-heavy jam for both teams. It goes 14-6 favoring Boulder County, and now Boulder County, the underdog, 94-68. Not what No Coast wanted to see on the board as we come into the final 2.5 minutes of our first half here. Remember, the loser of this game is done for the weekend, finishing in 7th place. X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County, Frostbite for No Coast. 2 minutes, 15 seconds remain on the period clock. As this jam gets underway, Frostbite, lead jammer, No Coast. Out of the pack is X-Ray Vixen after a star stash. Frostbite has a few seconds here left to try and get something out of it. Calls it off. Let's see what she got. She got 3. 3 for No Coast, 0 for Boulder County. New score, 94 Boulder County, 71 No Coast. We have a minute 40 showing on a ticking period clock right now. Unsurprisingly, No Coast hands the star to Slam Anderson for what's likely to be the last jam of the half. She'll be opposed by number 40 for Boulder County, that is Beetlejuice. A minute 22 left on the period clock as the whistle goes for this jam. It is Slam Anderson getting the lead jammer for No Coast. Beetlejuice trying to get past Sly and Brooke in Hearts. But back to help out that defense for No Coast is Anthrax. And that keeps her trapped in the pack as Slam Anderson picks up 5 on that grand slam. Coming out of the box for No Coast as a blocker is Storm. The star is out of the pack for Boulder County. Beetlejuice has it. Slam Anderson, one to beat is Brassica. Looks like she called it before passing Brassica, so gets 3 on that second scoring pass, 1 for Boulder County. Total score on the jam is 8-1 No Coast. New score 95 Boulder County, 79 No Coast. And we will in fact get one more jam out of this one, as that jam is a fairly short one. So in now will almost certainly be the final jam of the half. It starts with 14 seconds remaining on the period clock, and Feisty one jamming for Boulder County up against Chewy for No Coast. Penalty box is empty for the moment. Lead jammer almost goes to Feisty one, and now it does as she is awarded lead after period time expires. Feisty one and now being trailed by Chewy. Only a few seconds here. Feisty one goes over the apex, lands it, ends that half with authority. 4-0 run as No Coast just a little bit too far off that line to knock her out of the sky. That ends the half on a 20-point lead for the underdog Boulder County Bombers. Number 57 in the world leading No Coast. No Coast coming in as 39 in the world. That's intermission. 99 Boulder County, 79 No Coast. My name's Justice Billgood Marshall, and I'll be back with you in about 14 minutes. Hello there, Internet. I promised you that I'd get some penalty information for you during the halftime, and damn it, that's what I did. No Coast, 25 penalties so far in this game, only 14 for the Boulder County Bombers. 2 people in penalty trouble for No Coast. That's Storm and Bully, both blockers, both with 4. Nobody else in the game has more than 3 penalties. 99 for the underdog Boulder County, 79 for No Coast. 30 seconds left in halftime here, although the teams have been impatiently waiting to play for the last 2 minutes, sitting out here on the middle of the track as everyone patiently waits for the clock to run down. 15 seconds now left in halftime. 4 lead changes in the first half. No Coast led through the middle 10 minutes. Boulder County took the lead with about 11 minutes left to play in the first half. Hasn't given it back since their biggest lead, 27 points at 80-53 with about 6 minutes left in the first half. The biggest lead for No Coast was 15 points at 37-22 with 17 minutes left in the game. In the second half now, we got Slam for No Coast up against Feisty One for Boulder County Bombers. 1 in the box for No Coast. That's their captain, Ripa. And now she's joined by their jammer, Slam. Power jam, Boulder County. Feisty One has lead, and it's going to try and add it to this 20-point lead for Boulder County. Gets smacked to the middle of the infield by number 88, Bubbles of No Coast. Has to start over. Ripa comes out of the penalty box, but is unable to stop Feisty One, who picks up the first 5 points of the half for Boulder County. Now a 25-point lead for Boulder County. Out of the box is Slam with Star in hand. Trying to push through Catastro, Phoebe, and Dinah Fire at the front of the pack, being anchored by their pivot, Sauce. Slam is finally out. And going to put the Star back on as Feisty One's knocked to the outside by Bully and calls it off with another 5 points. 10 total. 109 Boulder County, 79 No Coast, the largest lead of the game now for Boulder County. Again, No Coast ran through 2 of their timeouts in the first half, so they hold 1 timeout and their official review. Boulder County has 2 timeouts and the official review. Jamming now, X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County, Frostbite for No Coast. X-Ray Vixen bangs her way past Broken Hearts, takes lead jammer for Boulder County Bombers. Still trapped in pack is Frostbite, who tries to go to the outside of the apex, but gets taken out by the Boulder County pivot hat trick. And that is going to allow X-Ray Vixen to get the grand slam over Frostbite. 5-0 so far, still coming as Frostbite was unable to exit the pack. Goes around the outside again, this time is successful as she puts the Star back on. However, X-Ray Vixen has some time to work here, gets past Broken Hearts, calls it. That's going to be 4 more points for Boulder County and a total of a 9-0 run on that one. Boulder County making the largest lead of the game larger, 118-79. Just about 3 minutes gone in the second half here. No Coast looking for their first points of the half. Chewy is going to get the call for No Coast. Deputies jams for Boulder County. Once again, No Coast in the black and Boulder County in the white and gold. Oh, it looks like Chewy entered this a little bit too early. The track cut forced by Catastro Phoebe, and that's going to be a power jam for Boulder County. Glitterous hits the box as blocker for Boulder County. Now Ripa is in the back working over deputies, getting a little help from Storm in the back. Ripa, again, a very long time veteran of No Coast. Extremely effective blocker for years. Now Chewy stands in the box. Deputies has not yet gotten out of her initial pass. Goes down hard, but will get up under her own power and continues the battle. The no-coast tripod is very stable right now in between turns 1 and 2 as they have killed the entirety of the power jam. And Chewy is sent back to the box, skating out of bounds. She looks over at her bench, shrugs her shoulders, doesn't seem to agree with the call. But Deputies finally gets lead after a minute 20. The bench immediately tells her to call it. So they're going to start this next one with a fresh jammer and most of the power jam remaining. So 0-0 jammer, 118-79 remains the score. No Coast has their jammer Chewy and blocker Storm in the box. Storm, I believe that is her 5th penalty that she's finishing the serving right now. She had 4 in the first half. And they're going to hand the star to Feisty One as Boulder County to try and take advantage of the remaining power jam time. Feisty One knocked to the outside by Sly. And now forearm being called on Sly, sending her to the box as Storm returns as blocker from the box. Lead jammer is in the hands of Feisty One now. Chewy stands in the box and is released almost the same moment that Feisty One begins her first scoring pass. Now both jammers in scoring position. Well, excuse me, both jammers in pack right now, I should say. Chewy is still on her initial. Feisty One is through, and that's 5. Is being told to keep going as Chewy is now in danger of being lapped. She's removed the star, but there's no pivot for her to pass it to as Sly is way behind her coming out of the box. Nope, doesn't matter as Chewy gets through by herself. Now Feisty One knocked out of bounds, Storm tried to bring her to the back. Feisty One just took her points, called the jam. That's 4 more on the pass, 9 total. Boulder County continues to build on their lead, 127-79. No Coast has been blanked all half long. I'm looking at that right now.
Oh, cool, you got it. Thank you.
Slam for No Coast, tries to get the points back on the board for No Coast. X-Ray Vixen is her opponent with the jam star. Strong Boulder County defense at the front, being anchored by Catastrophe and Dinah Fire. Also some help from the original Skankster. And Slam is able to battle her way past all 4. Glitterous was the 4th in there, and take lead jammer all by her lonesome. She is trying to get a lap point here on X-Ray Vixen, who has stashed the star, but has gotten passed by the opposing jammer. X-Ray Vixen is through, but Slam Anderson has all the time in the world to finish off her 5-point scoring pass. And finally, No Coast back on the board for the first time since the waning moments of the first half. 127 Boulder County, 84 No Coast. Still plenty of time for No Coast to make this comeback happen. 22 and a half minutes left to play in this game. Once again, the loser of this game is done for the weekend. They will end in 7th place. The winner goes on to the 5th place game tomorrow, where they will play the winner of Tucson versus Wasatch. That game coming up next. Right now, it's Beetlejuice for Boulder County and Frostbite for No Coast. Lead jammer status goes to Speedlejuice, but Frostbite right on her tail passes her up. Speedlejuice will take the 0-0, calls it off, and we'll have a reset. Score unchanged. 127 Boulder County, 84 No Coast. Slam Anderson returns to the line. No Coast definitely going to need a big production from her in the second half. They're going to make this comeback. Feisty One is the jammer for Boulder County. Feisty one runs into a very stable tripod in the back that's being anchored by, it's like Storm and Bully, and that allows Slam to take lead jammer status. Feisty one feels stuck in a quicksand in the back there as Slam Anderson passes her up, gets that jammer lap point, and is now trying to find her way around the outside of the Boulder County. Now Catastrophe unable to hold back Slam Anderson, who puts up a grand slam for No Coast. Feisty one gets leveled on the outside of turn 2. I think that was Ripa with the hit. Couldn't be certain out there. Either way, it's another grand slam for Anderson, as she's coming around for what will be her third scoring pass and her third jammer lap point on Feisty one, who's having a heck of a time getting through the pack this time. Now Slam with one to beat at the front. That's Glitterous. Glitterous looking for a call, did not get it. Slam Anderson picks up 5 more. 15-0 so far for Slam Anderson and No Coast. Exactly what No Coast needed at this moment. 28-point lead right now for Boulder County. Continues to shrink as Slam Anderson scoring once again. Feisty one finally out. And Slam will call it, picks up 3 more, an 18-0 run for No Coast. And it's a 25-point game with 19 and a half to play. 127 Boulder County, 102 at No Coast. It's like Boulder County calls timeout. They waited to drain all 25 seconds off of the period clock before calling that. I think it's a smart move right there. The clock is working in their favor, and No Coast, if they need to stop the clock later, will have fewer opportunities than usual, as they went through 2 timeouts in the first half. So Boulder County playing a smart clock game. Got about 19, or I should say we have exactly 19:15 left on the period clock. Once again, if you're just joining us, Boulder County is the number 57 ranked team in the world that came into this tournament as the 8th of 11 seeds. No Coast came in as the 39th ranked team in the world and the 3rd seed. However, they were upset in their very first game by Sac City. The shocking story of the weekend, the 11th seeded team of the tournament has reached the Final Four, in so doing knocking No Coast into the consolation bracket. And right here, Boulder County trying to put another upset loss on No Coast. Back in action is X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County, opposed by Frostbite for No Coast. 25 points is the lead for Boulder County. Large collapse in turn 1 here, and X-Ray Vixen gets tagged for it. It's a low block, and it's a power jam for No Coast at a very opportune time for them. Frostbite is going to try and make something out of it. Remember, the last jam, an 18-0 run, cut off a great deal of Boulder County's lead, and now Frostbite is going to try and do it again, but Boulder County's defense not feeling it. Smart or hard tripod in the front here. Finally getting lead jammer after 50 seconds is Frostbite. X-Ray Vixen was standing at the moment that she was given lead jammer status. Now X-Ray Vixen back on the track, coming for her initial pass as Frostbite comes in for her first scoring pass. Frostbite gets taken off her skates. Sorry, I couldn't see who leveled the block there, but she is sent to the back by Hat Trick and has to start over. Now Frostbite going chest to chest with Max Recker of Boulder County. X-Ray Vixen trying to get around Sly on the outside, cuts to the inside and gets through. However, Frostbite picked up all 5 points, calls it off long before Boulder County was threatening 4 points. And suddenly we're back to what we had at halftime, a 20-point lead for Boulder County, which means this half is now completely even. 127 for Boulder County, 107 for No Coast. 17 minutes and about 10 seconds left to play in the game when this next jam kicks off. Slam Anderson for No Coast up against deputies for Boulder County. All defense on both sides right now, but it's deputies in the rear, and that's going to allow Slam Anderson to take lead jammer status for No Coast. Deputies stashes the star as Slam Anderson picks up the jammer lap point, and this time No Coast going to play a little bit of offense. That's number 88, Bubbles, in there trying to break up that Boulder County defense, and does so successfully. Now Slam has one to beat at the front, does so another 5 points, and now it's only a 15-point lead for Boulder County. Glitterous off to the box as Boulder County blocker. Deputies finally through. Slam Anderson has some time, one to beat the remaining blocker. Dinah fires, spins around. Pretty move there by Slam. Thanks for blockers. Picks up 4, and suddenly, after a serious No Coast rally, it's just an 11-point game, 127 to 116, with just under 16 minutes left in this game. The teams take the pivot line this time. Feisty one versus Babe. Babe skipping up the outside of turn 1 and taking lead jammer status for No Coast. No Coast on fire right now. And now no one on the inside to take out Babe. And just as I say that, Brassica Alracia finds the lane. And oh, wow, that really turned around for No Coast quickly. It looked like she was going to have a completely untouched pass. But instead, as she was decked by Brassica Alracia, was picked up hit with a low block for sliding into one of Boulder County's blockers. So what looked like a 4-0 run for No Coast becomes a power jam for Boulder County, and Feisty one is getting her team back on the board after they've been blanked for the last 5 jams. Sorely needed points for Boulder County right now. 10 total for Feisty one, as she's now entered her third scoring pass. Released from the box is Babe. Boulder County's Feisty one is through with 5 more. Babe trying to get back what's been lost so far in this jam for No Coast, but she is passed up by Feisty one, who is currently on her 4th scoring pass. With just about 30 seconds left to play in this jam, Feisty one's through again. 20-0 on this jam for Boulder County. Babe picks up 4 of her own, so now 22-4, I should say, for clarity's sake. 10 seconds remain in the jam. Feisty one still trying to get something out of this one. Goes up the inside line. No Coast unable to close the door on her. She picks up 4 more. And Babe is unable to complete the next scoring pass. Goes back to the box, and as we were saying, it looked like that was going to be a real good jam for No Coast and get them within single digits. But instead, it all went south in a hurry, and Boulder County picks up a lot of the lead they just lost. 151 Boulder County, 122 No Coast. 13 and 10 seconds left to play when this next jam begins. Our jammers in this one are Slam for No Coast and X-Ray Vixen for Boulder County. It is Slam taking lead jammer status. X-Ray Vixen able to stay in bounds after being hit by Bubbles. And Slam takes a similar line, but this time gets caught up by Mussolini. Slam Anderson is able to pick up all 4 and call it our new score, 151 for Boulder County. 126 for No Coast. 12 and a half left on the ticking clock right now. My name's Justice Feelgood Marshall. You're watching the 2017 BESTERNS Elimination Tournament. We are in consolation round action between No Coast and Boulder County. No Coast in black, Boulder County in the white. And jamming for No Coast is Frostbite. Jamming for Boulder County is Speedlejuice. Speedlejuice looking for the outside, gets it. Lead jammer. And looks like there is an OPR showing a penalty here. It's a blocker. So Speedlejuice has a few seconds here to work. The blocker was number 63, Max Recker for Boulder County. Wasn't sure if it was on her or on a jammer. As it turns out, that jam is a wash. Both jammers scored 2 points. So differential stays the same. Total score moves to 153 Boulder County, 128 No Coast. We have just about 11:15 left to play when this next jam begins. Feisty one for Boulder County. Slam for No Coast. Slam in the front and trying to push her way past Glitterous and Sauce. Slam Anderson finds a way. Lead jammer No Coast. Feisty one stashes the star. Ripa and Storm pick her up as she tries to get out of turn one. Now Slam threatening for a grand slam. Does so. Nice offensive move there by Storm. Gives Anderson just the amount of space she needs for a 5-point pass. And coming out of the box and brutally taking out one of No Coast's blockers is Max Recker. Slam Anderson comes around again, and with 2 quite effective spin moves, puts up 4 more points for No Coast. A total of 9. Score right now, 16-point game. 153 for Boulder County, 137 for No Coast. Just under 10 left to play when this next jam begins. Remember, the team that loses this game is done for the weekend. They will finish in 7th place. The winner will move on to play for 5th tomorrow. Jammers right now, WTs for Boulder County, Betty Rocker for No Coast. Betty Rocker, the relief jammer for No Coast. And lead jammer status in the hands of WTs. WTs now threatening to lap Betty Rocker. Does so, runs into the side of Brooke in Hearts. Takes her down, but legally. And that's going to create 5 points in a grand slam for WTs. Betty Rocker now with star in hand, trying to get out of a tough situation for No Coast here. 3-3 packs right now. Oh, and bad news for No Coast right now. Well, I'm sorry. Some confusion there. Betty Rocker tried to pass the star to the pivot, Sly. It's sent to the box beforehand. So it is a power jam for Boulder County right now. And I'm not sure where the star ended up, whether it was in the hands of Sly or back with Betty Rocker right now. Either way, WTs has 15 points, and this could really end up being a nightmare jam for No Coast. 5 more points for WTs. That's 20 so far on this run. Star's on the track now. Star was obscured by the NSO standing in front of me in my location here right behind the penalty box. So Betty Rocker should be able to pick it back up fairly easily when she gets out. And Boulder County, I think intelligently here, calls off the jam to freeze Betty Rocker in the penalty box. Remember, Betty Rocker primarily used as a relief jammer. This time it ends up going a 25-0 for Boulder County, and it leaves Betty Rocker iced in the box with under 8 minutes to play. 178-137 Boulder County. Boulder County now in control as we tick into the last 8 minutes of the game. The pivot out there for No Coast right now is Bubbles. And meanwhile, it's X-Ray Vixen taking lead jammer status for Boulder County. Let's see how No Coast plays Betty Rocker's exit from the box. X-Ray Vixen has entered on her first scoring pass. Betty Rocker stuck on initial. Betty Rocker not finding a lot of space between Mussolini and Sauce. And now they have successfully gotten the star in the hands of the pivot Bubbles. And they have gotten their star out of the pack. X-Ray Vixen, though, has some time to work here. And she may have waited a bit too long to call that one. 5 points for Boulder County, 1 being shown for No Coast. So the late call off from Boulder County doesn't really harm them that much. 183 for Boulder County, 138 for No Coast. No Coast up against the wall right now with only 6.5 left to play on this ticking clock right now. Slam Anderson needs to get something happening for No Coast right now. She'll be opposed by Speedlejuice as the crowd chants Speedlejuice, Speedlejuice, Speedlejuice. And it works out. Speedlejuice lead jammer as she stayed on her skates, spinning around the outside of the straightaway. Slam Anderson gets around Max Wrecker at the front of the pack. Speedlejuice has some time to work, goes around the outside, no one there. Speedlejuice calls it, celebrates her 4-0. 187 for Boulder County, 138 No Coast. No Coast in trouble now, under 6 minutes to play. The next jam begins with exactly 5:31 showing on the period clock. Feisty 1 versus Frostbite. No Coast cannot really afford to give up lead jammer status for the rest of this game right now. Frostbite trying to make it happen for No Coast, but Boulder County's defense very strong, and now it's going to be Catastrophe Phoebe successfully bringing Frostbite all the way to the back and giving lead jammer status to Feisty 1. This could be the nail in the coffin here for No Coast. Catastrophe Phoebe hits the penalty box. So I did not see the call on her, but either way, it's been now a 4-3 pack. Now a 3-3 pack as Grippa hits the box as No Coast blocker. Frostbite finally out of the pack here. Feisty 1 gets around, calls it off. 4 more points for Boulder County. No Coast is going to have to make a decision here on how they're going to use their clock stoppers. They can only do it twice with 4.5 left. They're probably waiting a little bit longer here because if they were to use it now, they would probably run out of timeouts before running out of clock. But that won't last too much longer depending on how much longer this next jam goes. Slam Anderson for No Coast. I believe that is that's X-Ray Vixen out there with the star for Boulder County. Slam Anderson skating like someone who knows the game's on the line right now, trying to fight her way past Max Wrecker. Does so, lead jammer, Slam Anderson, No Coast. Current score 192 for Boulder County, 138 for No Coast. No Coast needs a big one here. However, X-Ray Vixen out of the pack, and Slam Anderson getting slowed down in the straightaway. Chooses to call off the jam with just a few points. She got all 4 on that pass. However, Boulder County trails by 50, 192-142 with 3.5 left to play. Hail Mary time right now for No Coast. Got Frostbite jamming, and for No Coast, deputies for Boulder County. Ripa bridges the pack as Boulder County cannot contain Frostbite. Lead jammer No Coast. Under 3 left on the period clock right now is Frostbite trying to pop a big jam for No Coast, but forced to call with only a few here. That's 2 points for No Coast. 192-144. No Coast letting this clock run. Now 2:35 on a ticking clock here. They're going to put Slam Anderson back on the line, but they might be asking too much here with the amount of time left on the clock. Beetlejuice once again gets the chant from the crowd. Let's see if it works out again for her. Slam Anderson, though, skating as if possessed. Lead jammer Anderson, Slam Anderson. Beetlejuice is out, and Slam Anderson pops into the pack, calls it off with a quick 4, and at this point, you'd expect No Coast to use one of those clock stoppages, but they're not going to. 192 for Boulder County and 148 for No Coast. Once again, the loser of this game is done for the weekend. They are officially in 7th place. For BESTERNS, the winner, who currently appears to be Boulder County Bombers, will move on to play the winner of Tucson versus Wasatch in the 5th place game tomorrow. This next jam begins with 1 minute and 21 seconds left to play, and Feisty One wearing the star against Frostbite for No Coast. Feisty One is decked in the middle of the straightaway as Storm anchors a tripod of Ripa and Bully. Lead jammer status goes to Boulder County's Feisty One. Frostbite a few strides behind the Boulder County bench, telling Feisty One to run out this clock, apparently. And I think wisely so. 45 seconds remain on the period clock. Feisty One going to jammer defense, trying to play it conservatively here. And Boulder County, I think No Coast needs to slow down this pack at this point. They're trying to keep the front here, but it's actually working out to Boulder County's advantage. I think they recognize that and they slow it down now. Both jammers entering the pack here. Feisty One now stuck behind Ripa. Coming out of the penalty box for No Coast is Matadora. Haven't seen too much of her in this game. Feisty One is through on her first scoring pass, has picked up 4, 10 seconds remain on the period clock. Boulder County Bombers are going to win this one. It's just a matter of time with Frostbite coming through for her first scoring pass. Boulder County looking real amped right now on the bench. And Feisty One gets through one more time, picks up 4 more, 8-4 run. Unofficial score right now as Boulder County celebrates, moving on. 200 Boulder County, 152 No Coast. Lots of smiles on the Boulder County bench. No Coast heading back, a little bit of disappointment on their faces. They are done for the weekend. They are the 7th place team for BESTERNS. And now Boulder County hugging it out over on their side. They will move on to tomorrow in the consolation rounds. They are playing for 5th place. They will be playing either Wasatch or Tucson in that 5th place game. We're just waiting for an official final score here. Boulder County taking their victory lap. Coming up next here on the BESTERNS action out of Denver, Colorado, it is Tucson versus Wasatch. As we just said, winner of that game moves on to the 5th place game to face Boulder County. Our final score is official. 200 Boulder County, 152 No Coast. So yet another upset on an upset-heavy weekend here at BESTERNS. Number 57 in WFTDA knocking off number 39 in WFTDA. Boulder County with the win. My name is Justice Feelgood Marshall. It's been a real pleasure sharing this game with you. Next up, Tucson, Wasatch at the top of the hour. And I'm out of words to say. Have a good night.